So today we are going to discuss about DAF 2 session. How to fill DAF 2 is the objective of this class. So how to fill DAF 2? Most of the times the students fill DAF 2 and they come for interview preparation. When I see the DAF or the hobbies which they wrote at that time, many of the things they might or they haven't thought through. So they just filled them because they wanted to put some information so that board do not feel they are not having sufficient activity or sufficient pro forma or sufficient detail. So I'm going to make this class into certain rules. The first rule and the most important rule for the DAF is do not fill anything which you are not. First one is do not fill any information to please the board. So it means whatever you fill over there, they have to speak something about you. So do not fill information with an opinion to please the board. Few years back, one of the student has filled the DAF like this. What are your hobbies? Cooking. Why the cooking? What is so good about cooking for you? So like this, when started asking the questions, his answer is this. Sir, actually I do not know cooking, but gender sensitiveness I can show if I tell the board that I know cooking. This was exactly his answer. So it means he is trying to fake on his paper what he is not. So very simple questions I have asked him. What do you cook? How often you cook? What cooking teaches you? What is the cultural aspect related to cooking? So like that I have framed certain questions and I have asked them. So when I asked those questions, what I understood is he was not serious about that particular hobby. And in the board, the same cooking is the area where he was trapped. The second part is no information is irrelevant or no information is unimportant. Let me understand or let me explain this rule to you. Morning, a girl, she has come to me. So she is working as a treasury officer in AP government. So she did not fill anything. She kept those activities or leadership positions as blank. Then I started asking her, what all you did till date in your life? Can you start speaking about them? So in my undergraduation, when fire accident has happened and one of my classmates' family lost everything, we moved, we collected money so that they can stand on their foot again. So it means after fire accident, she was able to lead a money raising campaign. Yes or no? She did actually do, she does that. And she does it regularly. And even at that incident, she did that. So it shows that she has an attitude to own the problem and to ensure that the people are comfortable with it. Or she is trying to solve that particular problem for them. An initiative, when someone is collapsed, she has an ability to respond to that scenario. That's a very good trait. And second, during the COVID-19, she was a volunteer at COVID call center. So COVID-19 is all about emergency management, crisis management. What is the most important thing during crisis? Communication. So she has handled the most important aspect of that crisis, that is crisis communication. So she felt that these are not very important activities she did, but these have clearly told a leadership trait in her. That's the reason why these are important. So that's the reason why no detail is too small and no detail is too big. So you are not going to write something to please the board. You are going to write something to tell about yourself to the board. So I made her to write down these two, that is fundraising for fire victims. The second thing is volunteer at the COVID communication center. And third thing is she has done a project in her undergraduation as a civil engineer to use the plastic waste and to convert that into a road, motorable road. Yes? So you have got a view. So how the waste surrounding us shall be productively used. That is also a good thing. Where they can ask a lot of questions related to waste management in India. Plastic waste management. So what are the rules? There is a lot of scope for board to explore you through that particular this thing. So rather than removing all that particular section, introspecting your personality and talking about your personality through that particular, through those few words is very important. Am I clear? For this, you need to sit with yourself ideally, no one else. So what all I did from my school present day, write down on a paper what all I did. So now where your traits of leadership, your traits to show sympathy or empathy or compassion to others, write them down, list them down. Various actions you did, and then what trait you are looking at in those actions. We might be doing many things, right? We might have done many things. So list all those activities. And in this, what I have to tell to the board, what I have to keep. The first rule is don't keep anything which you are not. The second thing is, don't think that your information is too naive. Even small information that displays what you are is the most important information. That's why you don't need to be judgmental about yourself. When you are judging your own traits, you are also becoming judgmental about self. That is why my second rule is, no information or no detail is too small or too big. Am I clear, sir? And the third thing is, make your DAF, especially hobbies, presentation of hobbies, interesting and specific. Make your hobbies interesting and specific. So let me explain this, making hobbies specific. I was talking to a student. What is hobby? He just wrote chess. He just wrote chess and gave it to me. So what do you do in chess? Do you play chess? Sir, I play chess. I do an interesting thing. What is that interesting thing? He said. So everyone, their strategy of movement, I write down all those steps and I compare them, and I'll try to analyze what if the scenario is like this, like that. That way I improve the game by comparing what is happening around. This is what he is unable to put it in the right words. But this is what he does. So in a way, what he is trying to do, he is a chess analyst actually. He is analyzing the game, trying to understand the patterns in the game, and using those patterns to improve his own game. Probably any chess player does that. Now, when I am playing chess, I am not so serious as he is. He is not just playing, he is also understanding his game better to improve himself. So he has got an aspiration for excellence or not in his game. He has an aspiration for excellence in his hobby. Hobby is something where you strive to achieve the finest possible edge. And he is trying to do that in his chess game. But he don't know the right words to put that. So that's where. So make your hobbies interesting. It does not mean you have to keep some hobby which is not there. Make your hobby specific. So playing chess and analyzing the chess players. Playing chess and also analyzing the chess players and their moves. So it may appear very novice, don't worry. That is what exactly he is doing and he has to present it on the paper. So what he is doing in the chess, I made him to expand. Now, another girl, she came with the hobby that is cooking. She cooks regularly. Then the next question is, what do you cook? So, sir, what I do is, I take Indian food and I also take the Chinese spices and I try to bring those spices into Indian food and see the taste changes in India, how the taste varies with Indian food with the spices from the other countries. This is the word she has explained. So I told her there is a name for this. That is called fusion food. When different cultures and their food is being mixed and new items are innovated, then it is called fusion food. Now, by bringing this together, don't you think she is adding a value? So just cooking for consumption is different. Cooking from the roots of the culture is different. So then the particular, what is the understanding, her understanding of the spices of East Asia? What spices are important over there? What spices in India are important? Next is, do you know Southeast Asia, East Asia, India has competed with regard to spices at some point of time in history? So, and again, so Indian food, it differs vastly from south to north. And South Indian food goes close to the Southeast Asia. And there are historical connections and there are also connections of food and culture. So if the food is deep to the culture, then your fusion, whatever you are doing is bringing the cultures close together. So you are trying to bring something together. So different elements together, bind them together. So what else about you? So it means you are ready to innovate, experiment. Ready to innovate and experiment. So rather than just writing cooking and experimenting with fusion food, that is what? Being specific. Being specific. So just writing cooking and experimenting with fusion food. So there is a difference. It becomes interesting when you make it specific. Here I have debated with few teachers. It was argued that let us keep this as open-ended as possible, hobbies, so that examiner can choose the thread where he wants to start. But I always say that examiner needs guidance. Interviewer needs guidance. So when you write certain unique words, fusion food, he tries to understand or he becomes curious. Curiosity attracts a question. When you are able to make that something written on that particular paper curious enough for the examiner, it will attract a question. So that's where I say interview becomes predictable. With generic writing, interview will not become predictable. And he likes to ask what he loves to ask. But here, you are making or anchoring him to certain words in the DAF. Am I clear, sir? So you have, if you see the first page, in that you have hobbies, extracurricular activities, and also leadership positions held, medals, and then NCC or any sports activities you are part of. So like that, certain questions are there. So one of the student, he wanted to write badminton. Why? Because there is no sports activity with me, and board may think I am just a bookworm. So that's why I want to keep some sport here, either cricket or badminton. No. That is no. Big no. Then what happens is, there is something called psychology of scarcity. Let me explain this psychology of scarcity. Whatever we think we do not know, or whatever we think which is not sufficient with us, our mind gets focused onto that. Even before examiner asking that, we are very defensive on it. Our defensive posture gets exposed. And we get too focused and tunneled to that. When I am using the two words focused and tunneled, they are opposite. Positively it is focused, and tunneling something is you are become oblivious to the others. So when you write something which you are not, you get too conscious of that and too defensive on it, and you get tunneled to it. Then your real understanding of the remaining things, the defensive posture which you have on that word, will make you to suffer on the remaining all the information. If you don't have something in you, if you are not a player, don't worry about it. You don't need to keep some sport or some play into it. Am I clear? And most of the people may not have sufficient documentation or sufficient entry into the sports, and it is not a wrong thing. Next is, coming to this area of preparation, remember this word very carefully. This area of preparation. In the mains, you are always in rush to prepare something. I have to complete this, that. You are always on a rush to prepare. Do you agree? But in the interview preparation, slowness is the key. Self-reflection and slowness is the key. When you talk, how systematically you are articulating your thoughts. And second, how thoughtful or how insightful on a particular thing you are. So the process is more important in the interview preparation rather than what you are talking. The process of internalizing the thought is most important over there. So, slowness is critical in the preparation for interview. So, the DAF has to become the basis for that. Today, whatever the single word which you are filling over there, that is the basis for your interview tomorrow. UPSC will not ask something out of the blue. It will ask from the basis which you gave them. So that's why that page becomes very, very important. The 3 rules of that page are: don't fill something which you are not. The second is, no information is too less or too. It is just about you. It is not about impressing the board. You can only impress the board through your personality. Believe in that. And what is the third most important thing? Whatever the thing which you are filling, it has to be specific and it has to be interesting. Specific and interesting does not mean you have to write something new which you are not. No. Specific and interesting means whatever you write it in a dimension where board's eyes gets anchored to it and board starts questioning about it. Am I clear on these 3 rules? The next part is services. Let me talk about this area. What service has to be marked in the UPSC? Now, IAS, obviously, it is on the top. Do you agree? We don't have much debate onto that. Now, few of the students may not be eligible for IPS. You know the criteria? Please verify that particular criteria. So, if you are not interested in foreign service, don't give it a second position. Because once you get selected to foreign service, you can't give an attempt again. So don't do it casually. The foreign service can be your second option, no. There is a person by name Vishnuvardhan Reddy. He was the regional passport officer. He is never interested in foreign service. He wanted to become an IAS. So he gave the foreign service as the second option. He got into foreign service. He can't leave that and he can't write the exam again. Finally, he got settled with Indian Foreign Service. So, if you are not sure about foreign service, don't give it second position. Second position. So, IAS, the next is IPS. Now, if you change foreign service as a first option, definitely your interviewer will be more focused on international affairs or your understanding of the global affairs. So if you are writing this exam to enter a foreign service, then choose IFS as the first option. So IAS, IPS. So next is Indian Foreign Service. This is, anyhow, if you keep it in a third position, it will be of not much relevant to us. Now, the next is IRS. Here the students, I see two trends. Few students are putting customs and exercise. Few are asking, sir, shall we go with income tax or shall we go with customs and exercise? This is one area where the students have a dilemma. IRS customs and exercise, IRS income tax. Income tax. The students who have interest in the uniform services now and then, who loves more of a field activity, who loves to have the services and their charm of colonial legacy, they can go with customs and exercise. So job wise, both the services, they are expected to become more faceless. But customs and exercise still have the colonial charm in their buildings, in their working style, etc., especially the customs thing. You know, income tax is a new act after independence. It's a post-colonial department. So that's why the amenities, what you see, they are not better for IT, but they are good for customs and exercise. And coming to the job, both customs and exercise and IT, they are the tax collection job at the end of the day. And no tax collection job will make the people happy. Now, students' doubt is, as it is becoming faceless, will it have that old charm for the income tax? Remember one thing, they have something called investigation as part, audit as part of it. They will have their charm because it's a sovereign function, tax collection. So here the personal choice is, if you like the old colonial charm, customs is still a good department. And uniform job, customs is a good department. The work-wise, the customs and exercise have a better department establishment compared to income tax. Either the offices or whatever you see, customs and exercise will have better establishment compared to income tax. But work profile, it do not change much. It do not change much. Now, traditionally people chose IRS IT first, then IRS customs and exercise. Then after this, previously when IRTS was there, Railway Traffic Service was there, people used to go for Railway Traffic Service, which is kind of IAS of railways. But today we have IRMS. If you get selected to IRMS, you may be a traffic service, you may be personal service, you may be accounting service. Okay, so in this case, IRMS, it is not just IRTS, it is more than that. The second issue is it is not a sovereign function, railways is not a sovereign function. At any moment, the railways may get privatized. Once the railways gets privatized, these services are expected to lose their charm. So 30 years back, Indian Postal Service was a charming department. When telecommunications etc. were not strongly took root in India, Postal Service was a very charming department. Today, Postal Service goes at the bottom. I see once the railways gets privatized, this also goes to the bottom. So my mind always thinks, what are the sovereign functions of the government? Where the government still have relevance in the long run, they will have greater space, they will have greater position. In this case, accountability services, audit and account service. Here you will get lot of international postings. Audit and account service, you can get posted in various diplomatic missions. So, because the function is fixed, but the array of the positions, jobs which you can get, places you can be posted will be very wide with audit and account service. IAS functions are quite wide, and also postings are quite wide. Here postings are quite wide, functions are the same, Indian Audit and Account Service. But still, it has a sovereign function. And the next is Indian Civil Account Service. Many of the North Indians, especially people from Haryana, Punjab, they give a lot of importance to Civil Account Service. Why? The posting for Civil Account Service, most of the cases is in Delhi. It is in Delhi. Obviously, when you stay in Delhi for long, you get the necessary bureaucratic connections over there. The real Giri is Civil Account Service and these kind of services. And second, it's a office job. It is not at all a field job. Civil Account Services. Many of the corporations of the central government, the civil account services, these people man them. Now, yesterday I met one guy in Delhi. He is the Deputy Director for National Land Monetization Corporation. He was very active with regard to Air India deal in closing that privatization of Air India. So he was very active in the disinvestment deal. And he became the blue-eyed boy of the government. He was given such a big task of land monetization scheme now. So it means your chances of getting into the eyes of the bosses is very high with these kind of postings if you are really capable. He was a chartered accountant and he knows what he was doing. And many of the IAS officers, they don't know the detail of the job, but he knows what he was doing. So that's the reason why the minister has picked him up for this land monetization. Did you get this? So the civil account service is like that. And the next is, there are two services, Indian Defence Account Service, Indian Defence Estate Service. Defence Accounts and Defence Estate Services. The Defence Account Service, again, with regard to the defence establishment, it's also a Delhi-based posting most of the times. The Defence Estate Service, it is like administrator of the cantonment areas. An administrator of the cantonment. To an extent, a civilian responsibility in a cantonment area. I'll put as it's an IAS of cantonment area. Here, if you like the field job, go for Defence Estate Service. The biggest problem in Defence Estate Service is stagnation. Promotions are getting delayed and delayed. Stagnation is the problem in the Defence Estate Service. But it gives you the charm of field posting. In these two, civil accounts are defence accounts. The field posting is totally absent. So if you like a field posting, then Defence Estate Service is something which you can look at. And if you like staying close to the power center, staying close to Delhi, you can look at these particular things. Now further is one service which is an underdog service, I call it as new service, but which is expected to become very strong in the future, ICLS. Indian Company Law Service. With NCLA, what is that? National Company Law Tribunal, NCLT. Now these people are not connected to that. But these are the people who are executing the Companies Act in India. Companies Act. As of now, it appears that they do not have much work. But more and more we are moving towards capitalism. These jobs have to facilitate the economic growth in the country. So these are the regulatory units of the corporates. So as like they have to give filings to SEBI, they also need to give filings to this particular department. So that's why I see this as growing importance in the future. It is expected to make a big impact in the future. Again, it has offices across India, and postings will be in the urban areas. Postings will not be in the secondary towns. So that's why family life will not be much affected. And more, the people in this service, this particular service, with copyrights and everything which are going to become popular, this service is going to gain the prominence in India. It takes at least a decade for this service to become prominent. So I will not be wondered after a decade, it will be placed after these particular services, that is IRS. And after the Indian Company Law Service, Indian Information Service is something which you can look at. Here, Prasar Bharati lost its charm, but still Indian Information Service, these are the people who write the speeches of the Prime Minister, or they at least read the speeches of the Prime Minister and all the dignitaries in the country. Previously, their posting was majorly in All India Radio and Doordarshan. But the media has exploded and they don't have much significance in that domain. But still, they have the significance with regard to this. And also, press regulation, media regulation, or any other regulation comes, this service becomes important. But today, Indian Information Service has no much charm which it had before. So whenever the Prime Minister was traveling, they used to travel along with the Prime Minister. They used to make the whatever propaganda machinery for Government of India. So no more that is all required for Government of India. It is more an outsourced job. And the last is, they have assets, they have network, but they are unable to use it. That is Indian Postal Service. Indian Postal Service. So again, the assets of Indian Postal Service are expected to be sold very soon. And after that, you can go for Indian Trade Service. It is just a paperwork service. So giving the export-import related benefits to the traders. That is the objective of Indian Trade Service, not of a much charm. And then after this, you can put Group B services. This is what is the thing which I recommend to the students. Hope you got an overview of this. The next is selection of cadre, IAS and IPS cadre. IAS, IPS cadres. Selection of IAS or IPS cadre. Now I will tell you one trick. You know that first you have to give a preference to the zone, right? First preference to the zone. Second is preference to the states in the zone. Preference to the states in the zone. So how the cycle moves? First it starts with the first zone, first state. The first zone, first state. So if I chose South zone, so Telangana as my first state in the South zone. So my first preference, when I get the first rank, I will be getting into the Telangana cadre. The second is, if I chose the West zone, in the West if I chose the Maharashtra as my cadre, then Maharashtra. After that, if I go to the UP zone, what do we call that UP zone as? The second zone, that is zone 2. So in the zone 2, if I select UP, and after that zone 1, Rajasthan if I select, Then Zone 5, West Bengal. Then again, it will come to that is Zone 5, that is the South Zone. So Andhra Pradesh. So when you make a chart, so what the students does is, they give the zones, they give the states. But you have to make a chart like this. Telangana, Maharashtra, UP, Rajasthan, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh. So like that, make a chart with regard to your preferences. What is the final preference which you are going to get? For the South Indians, there are the two criteria. Do you want a good service or do you want to stay close to home? In today's connected world, you can stay anywhere and can reach your home in few hours. Do you agree or not? Staying relevant is more important than staying close. So after preparing for so much and getting into service, if you go to some service with a small mistake, that is going to haunt you throughout life. So still, keeping all these cadres aside, the government which has no cadre, but which holds most of the cadre, is central government. Central government. It has no cadre, but it holds most of the services to it. And if you see the federalism of India, the most of the power lies with the central government. Central government. So now, Telangana, that is Zone 1. Zone 5 is my first preference. Then, most of the students, they go for Maharashtra zone after that, that is Zone 3, Maharashtra. So why the students are going for Maharashtra? What is the reason? Let's purely go by the career progress. Let's purely go by the logic of career. Why Maharashtra is chosen over Uttar Pradesh?
Because it has Mumbai, the economic capital of India.
So what is it is the largest economic economic powerhouse of India. Then second. So why we have to choose Maharashtra is, there is a strong cooperative movement in Maharashtra. And the political leadership of Maharashtra grew from that cooperative movement. The grassroots level political movement, wherever it exists, there the politics are well grounded. And such a grounded politics will respect the bureaucracy a lot. So in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, keeping aside that this is your mother state or home state or whatever it is, there at least politics respect the bureaucracy well. In AP and Telangana, the politics stopped respecting the bureaucracy. Am I clear on this? So first thing is, where the bureaucracy is respected for its anonymity, the bureaucracy is respected for its professionalism, those states you have to take into consideration. So only one rule. Beyond your state, every state is one and the same for you. Remember it that way. Once you don't get your state, any state is the same. Then what has to guide you? To what extent your service and your presence is respected? Your merit is respected. That has to guide you. So when I asked a student, so in a zone 2, why did you select Odisha? Her answer is, it is close to home. So when you have such a beautiful state UP, where you can make a big difference, where is a lot of scope for development still exists, where most of the bureaucracy in the center comes from, then going to Odisha, which is kind of Eastern Indian state, which is kind of left from the mainstream with regard to bureaucracy is concerned. Why did you choose that? It is next to my house. No. So the rule 1 when you are choosing a cadre, any state outside mine is the same for me. So what has to guide then? How much distance from my state is not the criteria. How good is the progress is the criteria. How professional your service can be is the criteria. Am I clear? So I like Maharashtra for the very reason is service still remains professional there. It is still professional there. And politician works harder than the bureaucrat there. So that's why Telangana, well, let's take, if you take your home cadre. Second, Maharashtra can be a good cadre for you. But if you want to have posting or greater say at the center, the cadre which is more useful to you is UP. UP or Augmut. The cadre which is useful to you is UP or Augmut. So in that scenario, so zone 1 is the 5th zone. First is, my choice is 5th zone. Next is, I will go for Maharashtra. And the third is zone 2, that is Uttar Pradesh. Then I will go for zone 1. In the zone 1, I will go for, there is one big state, that is Rajasthan, which is a good cadre. But if I want to stay close to the center and I don't have a state of my own, then Augmut will be a good cadre. Augmut is a good cadre. Rajasthan or Augmut. If you want to have a state of your own, Rajasthan is a good cadre. But remember, either you keep Augmut or Rajasthan or Uttar Pradesh, your chances of getting are very less unless you have a very good rank. Why do I say that? Most of the Hindi speaking states, let us take a person from Madhya Pradesh. His first choice will be zone 3. The second choice will be zone 2. Third choice will be zone 1. After that, zone 4. That is how he comes into it. Am I clear? So, most of the students of the north, they move in zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. So, if you get an exceptional rank, you get into UP or Rajasthan or Augmut. So that's why, think that you got around 50th rank somewhere, let us. So first 3 zones in the first 2 states are not available to us. Imagine the second scenario like this. Zone 1, Augmut and Rajasthan and Haryana are not available. In the zone 2, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar are not available. In the zone 3, Maharashtra is not available. Maharashtra is the most sought after state. Do you know why? South Indians keep the Maharashtra as second preference. And many of the North Indians keep that as the third preference, third preferred zone. So that's why it is in the sweet spot. And Maharashtrians keeps it as first preference anyhow, you know. So that's in the sweet spot. So that's very competitive across. So in this case, so most of the times, first 3 zones are not in your hand. That is zone 1, 2, 3, unless you get the best rank. So the left are your own zone and the next is northeastern zone. In the northeast, students started going today for Assam, Meghalaya. I request you to go with West Bengal. It's a beautiful state. Whatever you see in the papers, newspapers, it is just a noise. But it's a very progressive state. At least it has become a progressive state now. And compared to Assam, Meghalaya, West Bengal is a good cadre any day. A settled cadre any day. So, I don't know who recommended. Last year there is Chandana Jahanavi, if I am not wrong. She got into Assam, Meghalaya cadre. So, West Bengal first preference. Assam, Meghalaya shall go for second preference. So, my suggestion to you is, Zone 5 is the first choice. Zone 3 is the second choice. Zone 2 is the third choice. Zone 1 is the fourth choice. And then Zone 4 is the last choice. In the Zone 1, Andhra Pradesh or Telangana based on your state. After that, Karnataka. After that, go for Tamil Nadu. Finally, go for Kerala. In the Maharashtra, this thing, Zone 3, Maharashtra followed by Madhya Pradesh, then Gujarat, then Chhattisgarh. So in IPS, you can prefer the Chhattisgarh over Gujarat. IPS Chhattisgarh is a good cadre, compared to Gujarat for IPS people. And then after that, if you go to zone 2, UP, Bihar, then Odisha. UP, Bihar, Odisha, then Jharkhand. New states, take them to the last. Any recently created state, take them to the last. Even if you don't have preference for Andhra Pradesh, I will always recommend the students to keep the Andhra Pradesh at the end. Then, zone 1, you can go with Rajasthan, followed by Aghmut, followed by Haryana, followed by Punjab, followed by Himachal Pradesh, last is Uttarakhand. Coming to zone 4, West Bengal, Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur. So, today Manipur is problematic, but when you have to choose between Manipur and Nagaland, right, so you can go for Sikkim, in Tripura and Sikkim, then Manipur, then Nagaland. So this is about your cadre preferences which I can talk to you. Am I clear? So with this I will stop the lecture. Am I clear? The first 3 rules which I spoke is, don't write something on your DAF which you are not. Don't hesitate to write something which you may feel which is novice. It may not be. That is just your assumption. You cannot please the board by writing lofty ideals on the paper, but standing to that makes the board to give you marks. So don't try to impress the board on the paper. Write what you are on the paper and talk about that, express that before the board. And finally, with regard to hobbies, they have to be specific and interesting. These are the rules which we have to understand. Am I clear? And after that, we have discussed about the services preferences. And finally, we have discussed about what cadres we have to choose. While choosing the cadres, making a chart like this is very important. So, let us take Telangana, Maharashtra, UP, Rajasthan, West Bengal. Then, right, how the cycle is going with you, that is very important. How the cycle travels with you. So, there is a good chance you may get selected in your first 10 positions. There is a good chance. Next, one more thing which I wanted to bring to your notice is EWS reservation. Last year, a student was there by name Rajnikant. Few of you might be knowing his name. He gave the EWS certificate. Now, I'll tell the sad story is this. His father is a very poor man. But some advisor, some chartered accountant has filed his returns and hiked up his income to get a loan from the bank. Poor Rajnikant did not know that. He has applied under the EWS category. So they tallied income tax returns of the parents and this application form. Now, though he got the rank, he was not given the rank, saying that income tax returns are not supportive. So he has revised and kept the new income tax returns. But there is a big bureaucratic process to consider the revised income tax returns. That's the reason why. Please talk to your parents, verify their income tax returns before you apply again. Or revise them. Any discrepancy is there. Talk to the income tax department, get them revised now itself. Do not wait for the results on that. Are we clear on this? So with this, can I stop, or do you have any doubts? I can take those doubts. Some students online have doubts, let me check those. So sir, I want IFS at first. Bharat, again, I want to put you this. If you want IFS, that is what you want, then you have to go for it. So, and then what the board is ultimately testing your interest. When you spoke your heart and you stand for it, definitely it does good for you. Again, while filling the form, don't make something to impress the board. So Bharat is interested in IFS. If he writes IAS, is he not lying to the board? So is it not violating our first position? Write what you want on the paper. Write what you want on the paper. The second is, can I put Danix in the fifth position? Now all these Danix and everything, we are all going into the service for the field position, the charm of the field. But after 15-20 years, wife, children, all these are a reality. Am I clear? At that point of time, what you look at is a stable positioning. Now this Danix and Danix, the major problem is stagnation, years together stagnation, and they are group B jobs. So in civil services, the rank is very important, the position is very important. Group A, Group B. So anytime any benefits are being given, they are being given based on that. And second, even after 20 years, you are still moving around different areas. That's not going to help you or your family. So the benefits you get. So you need a decent house. You need decent schools. The benefits you get depends on your rank. So we need to see through the practicality of that rather than energy what we have today to serve in the field. So that's why Group B positions I always recommend. Don't go by the charm of the field. Go by the charm of the need. Think through for next 40 years or 35 years or 30 years. You will be in this service. This service is going to be your home. This is going to be your home. So in that case, think through it. You have to stay here for long. That is what I say. Right? Do you want me to talk about preparation strategy now? No. The reason is, first, I will do one-on-one sessions with the DAF. Every day I sit for 3 hours. Write down dummy DAF. Take a white page, what all you want to write it down on the dummy DAF, bring it to me, and then let us sit together and evaluate why we are keeping this and what is the reason. And if we are missing something, let us explore our personality and try to bring that into the DAF. That is the first exercise. The preparation comes later. We have a lot of time to prepare. So doing a good DAF is the first thing. Okay. So let us book the appointments. And second is, most of the students, they come and ask me, sir, do you have questions for my hobbies? Do you have questions for this cricket or sports I played? It is not a question and answer session. Interview or personality test is not a question and answer session. It is more your engagement with the board that gives you the marks. You need to understand and learn the technique of engaging the board, talking to the board. Am I clear? And the third thing which the students come is, sir, I did mock over there. They gave this feedback. This board gave me another feedback. That board gave me some other feedback. In this ocean of feedback, you lose yourself. And many of the students move across the boards to collect more number of questions. It's not that. It's not that. Remember, you can only do well. You can only do well when you are reflecting yourself in silence. So most of the interviews are quite normal. The questions are quite normal. The way you articulate your thoughts, present yourself, that gives you the marks. It's not like, now again I want to tell you this. In mains, on the syllabus which they gave you, they will ask you the questions. 90% of the questions you don't know. Or based on the previous year's questions, you predict something and you write. But interview is different. You give the syllabus to them in the form of your DAF. They will start asking the questions on the basis of DAF. So there UPSC is giving the syllabus. Here you are giving the syllabus to UPSC. So you are confining them where they have to ask the questions. So that way you are creating the boundaries for them. That's the reason why interview is quite different from mains. Mains you prepare in speed and haste. Interview you prepare slowly. Mains, someone sets the questions for you. Interview, you set the agenda for the questions. The mains, the syllabus is designed by someone else. And information is too vast, you need to know a lot. Interview, you need to have a perspective, an opinion on everything. There you need to have information. Here you need to have an opinion, a reasoned opinion for everything. So you do not know the entire information, no, but you just have to know sufficient information to give an opinion or a perspective to the board. So that's why, don't see the interview as a information game. Interview is a wisdom game, a test of wisdom. Mains is a test of information and knowledge. So that's why I see unlearning the mains is very critical for starting the preparation for interview. Unlearning the mains is very critical for starting the preparation. I always got very good marks in personality test, very good marks. So the reason for my good marks is I have prepared least, and then I have prepared in such a way that I can express myself for what I have prepared. And next, students feel that very good communication skills are required to get good marks in interview. Sir, my English is not good, will I get good marks? You don't need great English. You shall be able to communicate good opinions through your language. There is a person by name Makarand, IIT Bombay guy he was. He got the highest marks that year. When I interviewed him, his articulation is very poor, but his thoughts are very good. And his demeanor is very good. He is very positive in his mindset and approach to do something. So that's where he got the highest mark. Not because he has got some fancy English. He don't have a good English, I can put it that way. I never had good English, but still I got good marks in the personality test. That way I can say I have some good thoughts to present before the board, good opinions and perspectives. Am I clear? So I will stop it here and I'll ask Venkat Mohan sir to take it forward.